Hello, my name is John, and we're using a homemade cutting system here. We're going to talk about making some diamonds. There are several different ways you can start your diamond window off. You can do with a quarter piece of diamond, and use a half split lengthwise, and a half split crosswise for the bottom parts. And this will be the first way we're going to talk about doing it. So first, we have to start off with diamonds. So I'll set these in the box out of the way. I like to put a starter strip down here on the bottom. That way when I come off my glass, I'm not digging into my framing square on strips. I come down to it. I don't mind come already in line with my marks. But I don't want to come crosswise from marks because I don't want to ruin the scale on my framing square here. Alright, we need a straight edge. I use the Morton layout blocks. I find it's pretty handy. We need a 60-degree triangle. A standard diamond will have a 60-degree angle, or if you go from this direction here, you're going to have a 120-degree angle. And this part here is actually would be a 30-degree angle. And so we'll be using both ends, the 60 and the 30, as we work with the diamond. We're going to start off, we'll bring it over here. And I want to leave a 1/2 inch to 3/8 of an inch over here as a gap between my starter glass and my metal strip. I'll go ahead and I'll pin this in place. I'll put a couple pins in here. Make sure it's firm. Okay. That's going to give me a 60-degree angle when I cut here. Now here are some pieces I've already done. See the 60-degree angle. I can just line them all up here. I can make multiple diamonds. But first, let's figure out how to set that. When we want to make strips, we made a clear one so we don't have to waste our expensive glass to figure out how to set our angle. So we'll set it down here. I want to leave at least a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch on this piece here. I'm going to use that to help set my glass cutter. I'll take another piece of glass and just put it above there, so I can start up here on this glass and come on down and make sure I got a complete score line all the way across that. That'll help keep me from losing my points on my diamonds. So you start up here. We'll snap that off. Now I'll put my diamond in over here, snug against my straight edge. I'll flip this over so that it's flush here and across the top here. Now, I can set this down here. Then I want to keep that flush here. I don't want to set it right next to it because I got to allow for my space on the glass cutter. So I will slide it over a little bit and align my mark for the glass cutter here up on the edge of the piece of glass. Now hold this in place while I tape it. I try to hold the square after I set it, because just as soon as I don't, I'm going to bump it a little bit and I'll have to start all over. Now what I'll do is I'll take and make a test diamond. And what we'll do is we'll put a little arrow right here, because this arrow here is going to be turned after I cut it off and see if it matches over here. So first, let's score this off. And this strip here on top that I start with, I can move it left and right so I'm not starting the same spot every time on it. Thus, I'm not running over the same score line wearing my glass cutter down. This is a hinge. We'll snap it off. And then we'll rest it up against here and see if they match. I'll put this against the square and put the tip against the square. Now if you look, it doesn't match, does it? This one's a little bit short. And so if I need to make it longer, it means I have to move this square this way just a little bit. And I can use my little marks right here on top or on the side here as a gauge. I kind of eyeballed it, slide it over here, pin it down. And there's my waste container. I'll slide this back under here. Each time I do this, I want to make sure my triangle stays tight against my straight edge. Put my starter piece over here. I'll make my mark on here before I break it off so I know which one to use. Set it down here, I'll turn it. Now if you notice, I have a real close to perfect match. And we're going to call that good enough because there's always going to be a little bit of variance. And as you line them up, the solder will take care of that tiny bit. It's not a problem. So that's our test piece. We know it's good. We're still going to get rid of it because we don't need it. Alright. That's why we cut off a little extra piece here, so we can use that for a spacer to see where our glass cutter needs to be. Now it's time to go ahead and make some diamonds. And so what we can do, because we've got a long bar here, unlike some systems that are designed where you just do one at a time, this one here lets you do several. I'll move this down here a little bit so I have more out this way to help support it. Now I can go a step further. I can take a little bit of tape and tape it here and tape it down here. And some will say, well, John, when your glass cutter comes off and hits this, is that going to mess it up? No, because I generally stop about the time I get off of it. And it doesn't seem to have a big problem with it. I'll go ahead and slide these on over, raise this up. Now I didn't have quite this much of a piece cut off, no. But I want to keep at least a ½ inch. Because if I don't keep it ½ inch, or 3/8 of an inch or so, then it's very possible my point on the diamond when I go to snap it off will not stay on there the way I want it to. I got more room here, so I can take some of my yellow strips, set them up here, do the same thing. Put another one up there. Now I'll put my starter glass up here on top. Okay, again, I'm making sure my triangle stays tight here because I want my diamonds to stay as uniform as possible. You set it right here and just now you might notice I had a little trouble getting on here because that's a little smaller. So that means I need to use a piece of the yellow glass for a starter. This one here is just a little bit smaller than the strips, so it's a scrap piece. And so what I'll do, I'll just put an X on it so I know that I can use that for a starter piece and not try to make diamonds out of it. Alright, so now these are all done. So I can take my piece, slide them out of here. And I don't need these pieces here, so I'll just come over my waste container. Just start snapping and dropping. I like to do as many of my starter pieces as I can, because otherwise you get going almost on autopilot, and you might forget to take that piece off and you end up wasting a diamond out of it. Well, this green's being just a little bit ornery. Alright. I'll go ahead and dip my cutter. And I'll also take to make sure I don't have any shards in the way, because if I get shards in here, then it won't get a nice tight fit. You notice I have a gap here, that way I can get rid of shards that way. as well as later when we go to split the diamonds lengthwise, we'll need that gap. I'll go one more time underneath here, make sure I got them all out. I don't care what I got, red, green, or I should say green or yellow, what order they are, because it's all the same difference. We're going to take and slide them in, over, and they're all roughly the same thickness, so that part won't make any difference here. Now if you find that you're getting pieces that are sticking out a little bit like flares, doesn't have much of a flare, but you can see how it's not perfectly straight down. It goes with a slight angle. You can take your little diamond file and your waste can, knock that off so you get a little tighter fit. If it's very much, you might have to lightly touch with a grinder. This one's got a little bit too. Like I said, this green grass is just being a little bit cantankerous. But one of the reasons why I'm using the Morton safety brake, and again you could use your silver snits if you have them, or your ring stars, is I'm forcing the brake from the inside outward. And that's in hopes that I'll have less problem with the tips breaking off or flaring out on me. Alright, so now these are back here. They're all snug. Make sure my triangle's tight. I've dipped the glass cutter. We start here. Okay, that time I didn't push quite as hard. First time you notice I kind of have powdery stuff. And this time I'm going to break over our diamond box because I want to keep all these. Now see how much easier that snapped off? Because it had a light score line, not a heavy score line. Makes all difference in the world. So when you think, wow, I need to score harder because this is a hard glass or something like that, no. If you just barely have a score line, that's all you want. You get a white powdery line like I did the first time around. And you notice I don't have to have this perfectly centered. And boy, that's breaking like butter now. So that gives you a good example why you just want a bare score line, not a powdery line. Alright, let's do this again. We got some of the shorter ones here. Alright, now they don't come here, but the square and over here we use to help pull it in. And again, that tape works as a hinge, so it makes it really handy for sliding stuff in there. We want down and in. Same thing, square in. I said I had this piece here I could use for a starter. Down in. Dip it. Okay. Slide them all out. And you could have all your diamonds the same color. A lot of times your diamonds are going to be clear, maybe clear textured, because you don't want them to distract from the main subject, or maybe they just want the window colored glass and not have a subject. They just want a series of diamonds. So a lot of it depends on what your customer says they want. Alright, now we'll sweep again. I always like to sweep to get all that stuff out of the way. Alright, I still got my starter piece here. Now if I want to cut my diamond in half, see how we did it this way? I just give it a quarter turn. Now check my glass cutter and see if my points are going to line up. This one, my diamond acts like it's off a little bit because it doesn't line up down here, but it does up here. So So I'll go ahead and I'll score it. You snap it. Now we got some starter pieces. We can do it again. Now if I want a quarter diamond, what I'll do is I'll score it this way here. Then I'll set it aside so when I start scoring lengthwise, I can score it again. And I'll do a couple. That way, I'm starting to get a little shard here. Oh, there we go. Again, I'll set it to the side because I want to be able to quarter it. And so that's how you cut your diamonds in half. Now I lost that little tip there, but that'll get hidden. Now I take and untape this. Now you want to score as many of these as you need ahead of time. That way you don't have to change your setting at all. So what I'll do is I'll look at the pattern. I'll count it and say, okay, I need, maybe 20 of these in green or 20 in yellow. Lengthwise, I'm going to need 16. And quarters, I might need just one set to go at the bottom and at the top. So you figure out how many you need to make, score them all at the same time. Same thing with diamonds. Make all your diamonds at one time. Don't say I'll make a few now and make a few later. That way you got your jig set up and you're going to try to keep them as uniform as possible. So now we will take and we use a 30-degree angle. And I'll take and put a piece up here just to help hold it up. Now I can set my diamond in this pocket I have. And because I have that metal set up for my starter strip, I got room to come off and not fight it. I will move the triangle over. I'll put my glass cutter here at the point, here and here. If there's any discrepancy, I'll split the difference. Then I'll go ahead and tape this down again. As you can see, there's a light score, but not a heavy one. At least I hope that's what I have. I'm just making an assortment here so we can play around with them in a minute. Alright, so uh-oh, got carried away there. So I can take my gauzy breaking pliers, or a pair of breaking pliers. Take that little piece off and it's not lost. I do have some flares there. So well, there's my score mark. Had to look close at that one. That one only had them in one direction. Alright, now I'll pull this stuff out of the way. And I'll kind of sweep this stuff here. So we can take this here and we put a regular diamond. And I take my half diamond this way here. I take this piece here. And I can continue that pattern on. If if I want to alternate colors on diamonds. And come up with my window. And I can either alternate between green and yellow, or I can have it all one color, or I can run stripes. And just say, okay, I want to go green here. I'll put a yellow here, move that yellow down here. Then we'll have a green here and a yellow here. So I can candy cane it. You got lots of options available. You just have to know what colors you need and how many quantities. So you always count your quartered, your half this way, your half this way. So that's one method of making a window. Another option is what we call clip corners. We'll clip one corner of the diamond. And that piece we clip off, we'll make a filler. And if you're using textured glass, you got it made as you go. If you're using two colors, then you have to have some clip corner. In this case, I made a hexagon. I clipped both ends, and I use the points from that. And then, let's see if I can find them. Well, let's go ahead and play some more. I should have one of these that I've clipped in half to make here. And then we can come back and use our other one here. And so it's the same principle. When we're going to have a small diamond, it's going to be quartered, is what it seems like. And so that's another pattern. So let's figure out how to do some clip corner diamonds. We'll start off with our diamond, and what we're going to do is find out where the halfway point between those two things are. And I'll take this, I'll take a Sharpie. Ultrafine works better, but I'm not sure where I set it down at. Oh, there it is. Again, I'll use a 200 because that's easier to work off of a 0. I can go two big numbers one way, two big numbers this way, and I say I've got one line here and one line there, and that's about centered. So I'll make a little index mark. Now to double check myself, I'm going to come to this other side here. And so I know this point needs to be one mark past the 220. So I'll check it there. Okay, I'm one mark past there, so that's about where I want to be. So I'll make another index mark. So now I can set it back over here. I'm almost ready to come off of here, so that doesn't give me quite as much space as I need, but that's because I don't have my starter strip in place. So I'll get my starter back down here. I'll tape it back in place. Now I set it down here. I got plenty of support. I'll set this over here so it supports the end of my square. We're going to be using the 60-degree angle again. I'll take my glass cutter, set it right here at the mark. I'll check that end, see if it's about the same. It is. So I'll hold in the square, or triangle, excuse me. I'll hold it there. I'll dip my glass cutter. I'll score it. Again, to start and stop, I like to use a start strip. So I can take one of my strips I've done earlier and set on top. The stop isn't quite so important as it is the start point, because you want to make sure you're starting on the very edge, and when you come off, you're hitting the very edge. Now, if I'm just doing a clip corner diamond, I'll stop here. But if I'm going to make a hexagon, I just spin it around, slide it back over, put my piece in place, make sure my triangle stays here. Now I score the other end before I try snapping anything off. Now there I got my hexagon. Now I can take this piece here and put it over here and see if it matches. It's off just a little bit. So that means I might need to adjust my square, but I'll come back over this way here and I'll check. And it should match on the other end. But see there, it matches pretty good, and it matches over here too. So sometimes we just don't come out quite perfect. There it matches almost everywhere. So one end did and one end didn't. We have the same measurement, same marking, but I'm not going to sweat it, because when I go to put it all together and we start working with it, it will level itself out some. Or you can just say, okay, I don't like that one, toss it aside and make you a new one. So that's how we clip the corners. Then we got our clip corner diamond here. I need to take and split this in half to make my little corner piece. So there's any number of ways you can do it. The simplest is simply put it underneath your straight edge here. Yep. Move it out a little bit first. Set your glass cutter here. Line the point up with the glass cutter. Now I have to pull down and use a triangle to hold it. We'll just come down. That way I don't have to do any measuring. I got my piece I need here. Got my start here. Over here. Got a little triangle here. Let's find the other clip corner diamond. There's another clip corner diamond. And again, I can go yellow, or I can clip the corner on a yellow. We can do the stripes, whatever you need. Another thing you do with clip corner diamonds, you can start off the hexagon center. Make pinwheels out of it. You can turn it the other way and make a flower. You know, your imagination is where you go. Maybe you're starting to make a funny face. Here's a big nose and here's some eyes coming out. Make a droopy mustache. Or you're making a rocket ship, an arrow. Use your imagination. But diamonds are not that complicated. A 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. A straight edge you can pin down. Your framing square. And have fun. Thank you for watching.